nothing but text.
Text. I do nothing but stream my streaming. I got it. But here you go. We are live on Meerkat now as well. And by the way, it's raining a little bit here in South Carolina. I don't know if you've heard.
There's some kind of a hurricane kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is ridiculous out there now. Like it's insane. I was gonna do Cantor was actually here yesterday. Not at my apartment here. That would be weird.
Right.
But he was at Falls Park in Greenville, which is right downtown. Okay, we're live on Meerkat now as well.
Nice.
So
are you streaming the screen or are you streaming you?
I am me. I really hate watching Meerkat streams that are of the Blab itself. Like people
Understandably so.
Does that make sense? So I'm going to stream me and try and keep an eye on what's going on over there. I don't know.
Lucas.
Lucas? What's going on, buddy? Welcome to the Blabathon. And we are through our discussion of Alabama and we're moving on to Arkansas, state number.
Yeah, I want to hear more about the urban farm.
Yeah, they have, you pull up there, there's like a trailer, like this trailer, you could almost live in it, basically. But there's all these, when you go to the left, there's like 16 garden beds, like all different types of plants. When you go over to the right, there's some pots with a lot of different plants over there. And then behind that, there's a chicken coop. Behind that, there's a thing for bees. I don't know what the correct word for it is, like a beehive, I guess. So they're hosting their own honey. They do, what's the word for it? Healthy eating days or healthy something days where they invite either kids and or community members, parents, etc., to come down. And hello, Meerkat, by the way. They invite people to come down and learn more about how all of this stuff works. Really, there's a big portion of the urban farm, the downtown one that's empty, where they can host events and everything as well. So they'll have you could probably fit a couple hundred people in there at a time, to be honest with you, where they would bring you in and maybe shepherd you around and give you a tour of everything that's going on. But there's a great picture of it on my Instagram that I'm going to bring up here. And I think when I put links to photos here in the comments, they'll show up here in the comments, right? Like if I put a Facebook photo in the Blab comments.
I don't know. Let's find out.
Well, let's figure it out.
I mean, I think it's got to be a hard link to the where the image is hosted, not just the page.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just going to be a link. I would think.
Well, let's see if this works. Copy image URL.
Oh yeah.
So that
totally works.
That's the image from my. That's great. So that's from my Facebook page. So that'll be good. I'll keep this up as well, that I can use those as reference points.
Okay. Hey Gordon. Thanks for dropping by.
Hey Gordon. Hey Lucas. Guys, so if you want to jump in and have a seat, we're going to shift to Arkansas. Joe, have you ever been to Arkansas?
No.
I have. Twice. And
both times? Both trips?
Yeah, well, both trips I made it to all 48. So last year I really sort of in 2014 I wanted to go to Little Rock, but geographically Little Rock was going to be tough because of where I was coming up from New Orleans, that I was going the other direction. So Little Rock is sort of in the middle of the state. So this year when I planned my trip, I said, I got to go to Little Rock. Like I'm really excited. It's obviously there's a lot of ties to President Bill Clinton. So what's going on? Meerkat family as well. So please feel free to join us on Blab. We're talking Arkansas. So this year I went to Little Rock and I visited Our House Homeless Shelter, where I learned quite a bit, actually. This was one of the first states on the trip, and learned that homelessness is really much more of a temporary problem than I think most people think it is. They have a great youth program there at Our House, but There's a lot of adults that stay there as well. And I learned that the average stay for someone who's homeless is something like, it's like less than 30 days, which
Really?
I thought was crazy. Yeah. Like when you think homeless, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
gee, you're homeless. But most of the homelessness that takes place is really temporary. You know, maybe you lose your job, or you lose your transportation, or, you know, something really sudden happens, and you're just sort of you're screwed, and suddenly you lose your housing, and you got nowhere to go. And that's what these shelters are really for. You know, they're designed to try and get you back on the road. They're designed to try and get you back to work. You know, so you have a real great opportunity to take advantage of some of the programming that's done there, and they don't want you to settle in. And trust me, especially when you see our house, you're like, it's not a place where you want to live long term either. And you walk into this place, and it's not bad, you know, like it's not like, oh, like this is disgusting. But imagine living in a room with 75 other people. You know, like it's a huge, like a gymnasium sized room, and there's just like 25 beds in a row, and then there's the middle row, and then there's another row of like 25 beds, and you're like, oh geez, like it's scary to think about. But you know, what's encouraging is they do a lot of programming that really allows people to, you know, they have like job training. They have a whole closet full of like professional clothing, you know, that you can
Oh, that's great.
you can go in and get a shirt and a tie for a job interview, and all that sort of stuff. They have obviously food and recreational activities and everything going on there. So great stuff there in Little Rock, Arkansas. After last year, I went to Texarkana, which, if you want to get the full Arkansas experience, Texarkana is it's literally the border of Texas and Arkansas.
Right.
And so, you know, when I was looking for a hotel in Texarkana last year, because my whole idea in 2014 was I want to stay a night in every state, I had to make sure that I was looking for a hotel that was on the correct side of the road. Because if I had stayed on the other side of the highway, I would have actually technically been in Texas. And so when I drove to get dinner and like to go get a beer, I could only look on the one side of the road, like to go to a bar, and oh my God, like, ew. It was the shadiest, scariest bar I think I've ever been to. I don't.
And was it technically in Texas or Arkansas?
Oh, it was in Arkansas. That was the whole idea. Let me get a beer in Arkansas, and
then you walk across the street and get a beer in Texas.
I had a beer in I guess so.
It's a cool setup.
No, I mean it was fun. You know, a lot of people really enjoy when you talk about travel and cross country stuff, the idea of stopping at all of the state signs. You know, that's apparently a big deal for a lot of people. But
Oh, yeah.
when you see some of these compilations, I mean, a lot of times those signs are not accessible. A lot of time, well, they shouldn't be accessible. I mean, they're there, but it's really, really not safe to get to a lot of these signs to take a picture.
Right.
One of those I experienced actually driving from North Carolina from North Carolina to South Carolina. No. The state before that, driving into North Carolina, which was my 50th state this year. The state sign for North Carolina is, you know, usually there's a big like pull off that you can go like stop and whatever. Like this one had like a regular size shoulder, and it was a windy road, and it was kind of dark, and it was raining. And I'm like, well, wait a second. This is the last state on my trip. Like, how can I not get
Right.
a picture with this sign? And so I stopped, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, this is it. Like, this is the worst. And it was really not a smart decision to stop, but I got it. So I want to welcome in Jonathan and Kasim. Hello. Air Force Kieran, how we doing? Anna was here.
You drop by.
Lots of mirror buys. I understand. This is a marathon, not a sprint, quite literally.
Blab
So
by.
So
Blab by.
a blab buy. So guys, if you like what you see today, again, we're on state number 2 of 50. I encourage you to Enter today's raffle. We're going to be doing a raffle at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight where you can win a number of awesome prizes, including but not limited to a Team Strub 2015 t-shirt, a Team Strub 2014 t-shirt, and 3 separate items from Mr. Joe Wilson. Joe, you want to explain what those are while we still got you in a seat here?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a signed copy of Vampire Mob issue 1, which is a graphic novel I wrote, a We're All Famous to a Few People t-shirt, which is like this one, and a signed V-Mob poster, which is behind me at a camera. Over. Oh, there it is. Right there.
Great. Well, what's up, Christian? Hello, Christian. I'm just saying hi to the Meerkat folks. Hello, Margot Freeman. How are we doing?
Hi, Meerkat. How are you?
Joe Wilson says hi. There you go. You can say hi. There you go.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you, Meerkat. You look fantastic. Have you lost weight?
Meerkat.
Fantastic.
So we got 5 more minutes to talk about Arkansas. Does anybody have any Arkansas stories, questions, comments?
Is the accent different from Arkansas to Texas? I'm guessing that close to the border, it's got to be the same-ish.
Similar. I can't postulate too much about. Arkansas is one of those tricky ones, right? Like I spent very little time in Arkansas last year. I actually spent very little time in Arkansas this year. It was not really by design. I visited our house shelter on a Sunday, so I didn't get a chance to meet all that many people. Although the guy I did work with, Prentice Jones, definitely had a thick Southerner accent. He was hysterical and awesome. It was a lot of fun. And if you follow the trip, oftentimes I got to work with all the kids and I got to meet so many different people, blah, blah, blah. Like here it was like, oh, let's make something work. Where can we take a picture? Because you can't take a picture with the homeless people, right? So we're like, well, and there were no kids around because it was a Sunday. So, last year I went into a Hooters in Arkansas, and the service was terrible. The service was so bad that there was no service. That I remember getting up and walking out of that. This was the Hooters on the Arkansas side of the highway, right?
Right.
So I went in there and actually had to get up and leave because no one wanted to come over and say hi. And I'm like, I have a pretty cool story. Like, I'm not from here. Like, I drove here from New York. Like, can I get a beer, please? No.
What the hell?
I did go visit like the Bill Clinton. Forgive me for not remembering all of this stuff exactly off the top of my head, but I think it's the Bill.
How is that not possible at this hour?
The Bill Clinton like presidential library, whatever it's called. Like, I don't think it was exactly it, but the presidential center, which was pretty cool. It's right there on a river. So there's this big majestic view, and there's bridges, and there was a street fair going on that day. There's big animatronic dinosaurs outside of this thing for some reason. And funny story, you guys know I was the first person to live stream in all 50 states. Almost not the case because I could not get a signal anywhere in Arkansas. So if you look back at my Meerkat stats, you'll see I did stream from Arkansas, but like nobody saw it because I was only live for like a minute. And I'm like,
right.
I don't know if you've done it or not, Joe, but most streamers walk around with their phone and they're like, is there anybody there? Like nobody joins in, no comments. And you're like, this must not be working. I think that's what happened to me in Arkansas. So I might have to go back to Arkansas and
stream it again.
And find a place with actual Wi-Fi to talk about Arkansas. Like I feel kind of, you know what I need today, Joe? I need a bell.
What do you?
I need a bell.
A bell?
Because
that would be a great idea.
At 9 o'clock.
Ding, ding, ding. Well, I think it's the what's going to have to happen is we'll have to, because otherwise it's going to be a travel log for 12 hours. We'll change up, topics and that kind of thing, because you can do a state faster if things get busier. I don't know what Kieran's. My guess is Kieran's watching he's watching more than one thing right now. Hey, Queen Bee. Queen Bee, There's a. I want to be Queen Bee.
Is that Beyonce? Is that the real Queen Bee? That would be awesome. I guess that's Queen Bey, right? So it's 8:59. Any final questions? Queen Bee, what do you want to know about Arkansas? You got 30 seconds. We're talking Arkansas, and then at 9 a.m., we're moving on to Arizona.
I'm moving a camera. So how do you, Mike, come over here. Hey. How do you plan a cross-country, what? Everybody name, what did I miss? Sorry, I'm video editing at the same time. I figured, Kieran. How do you plan, when you're doing a cross-country trip, how do you plan the states? Like, you just decide which direction to go in and then hit them that way?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I having done it more than once now, and good morning, Ramon. Thank you for the like and the restream. Part of it was, a big part of it is geography, that you want to try and hit. Hey, there's Sarah. Maybe we get Sarah to join in. Sarah loves to jump on your streams and ask you to use the ear, Joe.
Oh, does she?
You remember those comments? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally remember those.
So that's Be a Bearcat. That's my in real life friend Sarah.
Oh,
so a lot of it is
hi, Sarah.
Is determining thank you, Everlyn. Is determining a route that sort of brings you from state to state quickly. For me, at least, because I'm traveling solo, that I really try and minimize the amount of distance that you're going to travel. A lot of the times you see these memes and these links online that are like, go to all the state capitals or go to all the most fantastic places, and I'm like, no, like, go to Texarkana so I can say I was in Arkansas for a night so I can keep going. Especially when you're by yourself, you do try and minimize the distance while still trying to hit a somewhat reasonably sized city. Which is why you'd want to go to, like, for example, that's why I drove all the way to Portland, driving all the way westward across Oregon instead of just stopping somewhere in Oregon, right? I drove an additional 350 miles to get to Portland because it was awesome. It's more of a cost benefit sort of thing.
I see what you're saying.
So
you could have just looked for places along the borders and found the shortest distance to each nonprofit, done it that way.
You could have, but at the same time, when you're going across the United States, you do want to still try and maximize your experience. You still want to try and get the most of it. So, like, that's why this year I went to Mount Rushmore. I planned. There are ways to plan it where you could still see and experience exciting things. And
was Mount Rushmore as exciting as you thought it would be?
Have you been there?
I've never been there.
Mount Rushmore was all right. Mount Rushmore, I hate to be distracted about things, but Mount Rushmore, the day I got there was the day that Meerkat launched the Cameo feature. I think we were talking about this the other night.
Oh, right.
And so I was really sort of bummed, if you will, that I couldn't stream. Like, I couldn't do my own stream, much less do a cameo on other people's streams from Mount Rushmore. And I know that's not the way that you should think about things, because, hey, I was at Mount Rushmore and I got to see it, and now I can. But really, that's why I love sharing these experiences with people. Is like, all I can really say about Mount Rushmore now is that I saw Mount Rushmore. For me to have been able to live stream from it, then I would have been able to say, oh, I allowed 1,000 people to see Mount Rushmore with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Well, I was, I can't remember who was yesterday. Mary Williams on Meerkat was streaming the Hoover Dam, which I have also never seen.
That's going to be hard to get a signal out there too. I was at the Hoover Dam last year.
I was amazed. It was really solid.
Forgive me here, Joe. I'm scrolling back to try and get my picture set up so I can reference some of this stuff as I go.
I'm trying to tell a little bird and add giving away a VMOB thing. I think I'm just gonna zap everything else. So are you gonna go on the record the whole time?
I don't see why not.
Well, don't feel too much pressure to do a 12-hour radio show.
Well, here's how I see this working. By the way, if anybody has any questions about Arizona, we are up to Arizona, and I'll talk about Youth on Their Own in a moment here. I specifically did not say that I'm going to come in and speak about all of these states consecutively, right? So part of what I hope is that people want to come in and speak about each of these specific states, and that will allow me a bridge somewhat to, maybe eat a sandwich or something like that. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
I want the discussion to keep going. It doesn't have to be me continuing it, So the topic.
Well, I can talk about California and New York and Massachusetts. That's about it.
Perfect. Well, what do you know about Arizona?
Never been to Arizona, except to, fly in and out at an airport somewhere. Phoenix, I'm guessing.
Phoenix, yes.
But I've never done I've seen very little of this country.
I will tell you that I was underwhelmed a little bit by Flagstaff, Arizona last year. Flagstaff got a lot of hype in the run up to it, and it was pretty boring.
What was the hype and what was the result?
Well, Flagstaff, I always thought Flagstaff was going to be like this, like Austin, Texas, that sort of like hipster,
Right.
like really cool, like bars everywhere and young people and, all that, culture. And
Bands.
it just wasn't. Like, it was like, you talk about like Austin Light or Asheville, North Carolina Light. Like, it was like Austin light. Like you could tell that was what they were trying to go for, but the execution just wasn't there at all. Like it was really.
And it's also hard to get a bunch of individual businesses to fulfill one person's Austin wish too.
Yeah. Well.
All right, I'm going to America.
There you go. That is a picture of Aaron from Youth on Their Own signing my car. During my trip this summer. So, of course, I visited 50 states in 100 days. And I had all of these organizations sign my car with a piece of advice for a young person. And Aaron signed it, when things get tough, keep going, which I thought was simply inspirational. So,
how early in the trip was that?
First third. I remember Vegas was day 34. So let's see.
How do you remember all this?
Well, I remember Vegas because for a very specific reason that I was hoping to go work in Vegas. But
Got it.
Tucson would have been. Come on, picture.
Come on, picture. Come on, internet. Let's have it.
Here's another picture from Tucson. This was. Do you remember Alcatraz, Joe?
Yes.
So that's Alcatraz.
Oh.
Joe Hart. Joe Hart, what are you doing on Meerkat? Joe Hart, you got to come join us on Blab. Come chat with me and Joe Wilson on Blab. Literally, please. We are in state number 3.
Thanks for hanging out, Kieran.
Yeah, Kieran, come on back. Well, I've got the full schedule on my Instagram.
Video. So that's what I'll do. I'm taking pictures. Here, look at your camera. I want to be like Subi Zimmerman, and just my whole Instagram account is just be full. All extremely happy and slightly surprised.
Lydia's here on Meerkat. Hello, Lydia. How are things going?
Hi, Lydia.
So we got 12.
Hi, Lydia.
Joe Hart says hi, Lydia. Oh, Steven's here.
Steven Caggiano, thanks for dropping by.
I'm obviously owning it here with the Blabathon concept as I've driven away just about everybody who's popped into the room.
You got to keep in mind that they can't, if you've been on for 40 minutes and Kieran hung out for a lot of that, so.
Yeah. So just as a general reminder, if anyone would like to, and I'm going to cut all this up and edit this together as well. It's now 10 after 9. We're technically speaking Arizona, but if anybody would like to make a contribution to my Indiegogo campaign, that's how we're going to crowdsource a raffle later tonight.
Or multiple raffles, as the case may be, winning all kinds of prizes. Can we get Dad's cookies?
Oh yeah, there you go. Add Dad's cookies to the list.
So I think this is the one time that the cam twist lower third thing would be great, because you could be like, raffle now.
Yeah, maybe we'll wake up Keith. We'll get him in here. So I'm going to add. All right, Meerkat, you ready? We're adding.
Does Meerkat know what's going on? Have they seen?
Meerkat, so here's what I would encourage you to do. Stop by on Blab. If you go to my Instagram, it's the link is on there. It's also, of course, on Twitter. I'm going to tell Little Bird again. We're sitting here with Joe Wilson TV. We're in segment number 3 of 50 today. We're talking 50 states, and we're going in alphabetical order. So we're up to Arizona. I'm going to take a moment.
You like the numbers. The numbers and the structure. 50 segments, 50 states.
Well,
do you have a math? How are you at math?
How am I at math?
Yeah.
Very good. I'm very good at math.
I thought you would be.
I'm very good at math. So if you make a contribution to my Indiegogo campaign today of $10 or more, you'll be entered in the raffle where you can win any one of these amazing prizes. We've got a Team Strub 2015 or a Team Strub 2014 t-shirt. We've got a variety of awesome prizes from the one and only Joe Wilson TV, including an issue of Vampire Mob, issue 1. We Are All Famous to a Few People t-shirt, and a signed Vampire Mob poster. So those are some pretty damn cool prizes. I'm going to add onto the board now.
Maybe also we should change the topic to raffling cookies or something like that. Because if it was first thing in the morning on a Sunday, I don't know if talking America's nonprofits is the topic that would jump at me. Hey, Misha. Am I saying that right, Misha? How else would you say? Well, you get Misha. Better it's Misha.
I think it
could be Masha. I think it's Misha, though. Cool name. I just want a cool name. That I don't have. Misha's thing looks familiar. What's happening, boys? A little this, a little that. Are you changing the topic? What are you doing? We're hanging out, giving away. There's a raffle going on live, a 13-hour raffle, multiple winners, including a dozen cookies, among other things, as part of the Indiegogo campaign to help ChrisStrub here tell nonprofit stories, help the nonprofits themselves tell their stories. And Meerkat, come on over and hang out. Hey, Mayor.
Mayor, how's it going? We're talking Arizona for one more minute.
Or Arizona. They really want more time. Coffee cheers, Mayor. Clank!
Youth on Their Own in Arizona is a fantastic organization that also helps homeless youth. And and they do it in a very specific way. They have a very specific goal of trying to increase the percentage of youths who are homeless who graduate from high school. That is their only goal, right? And so for me, seeing this organization and seeing how specific that goal was a bit of an eye-opener. A lot of the organizations that I visited this summer are sort of all over the place a little bit with their mission. They're very broad statements. And I think that a lot of the organizations around the United States can take a lesson from what Youth on Their Own is doing, because they zoomed in, they laser focused on what their goal is, and that's it. They don't BS around. They're not trying to do 7 or 8 different things. Like, they're like, we're going to do what we do, and our goal is to get you to graduate from high school, period. So everything that they do is moving in that specific direction. And I think that a lot of the organizations that I visited this summer could really benefit from trying to learn from that mantra. Not graduate from high school, but pick exactly what it is that you want to accomplish and go after it. Don't try and be everything to everybody.
Right.
Pick what you're good at and go hard at it. That's what I wanted to say about Youth on Their Own, which is a fantastic organization. I'm super grateful to them and their whole team for letting me stop by. Oh, they have a mini mall. So that's what they have, is a room with stuff that people can come in and they fill up a little box. You can take up to 10 pounds of stuff a week. So it's all foodstuffs.
Nice.
They have clothing. They have toiletries and everything. You can go in once a week, either by yourself or with a guardian or whatever. And there's staff there that they monitor and they watch you weigh your stuff. Their most popular item is macaroni and cheese boxes, right? And you can go in and get 10 pounds of stuff from the mini mall. And so that's how all the organizations in Tucson, all of the businesses and everything, can make contributions to the mini mall. They have volunteers go in and sort the stuff that goes in the back closet. And then from the closet, you can go out, the staff will go in and take stuff and refill the mini mall itself. So not all of the stuff is out in the mall at one time. They have consistent amount of stuff out there at all times. And that was the volunteer experience that I had, was organizing and restocking the mini mall in Tucson. So
I like that it's called a mini mall.
Yeah. When they told me the mini mall, I'm like, oh, like a mall. But no, it's like a big room in their office. So Ramon and Joe Hart are going to make the shift over to Blab from Meerkat. They're working on it.
Cool.
So
do you want to change the topic on this?
I kind of do. I'm trying to figure out what best to say.
I don't think that the 13-hour and the Blabathon are necessarily important. Yes, hone in on something, focus, and go for it. Great advice for all, most especially the youth of today, which have so many distractions. Hey, adults have distractions too. Don't forget us. And teens. What would attract people at this hour is, I don't know, you say well, everyone loves cookies, and it's a raffle. So we could say it's a live raffle, or raffling cookies for to benefit nonprofits.
Well, let's play around here. So, as we
writer, type some words, copy editor.
As we adjust the topic, as we adjust the topic, I will mention that we are on to. Oh God, what did I do?
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, actually, yeah.
Well, you know what's funny, Joe? I already screwed this up.
What do you mean?
Look at how I wrote down the list of states here.
Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Arkansas. Arkansas is there twice.
Yes. So how can I fix that?
I guess we'll just have to jump around.
You mean things on live streaming don't always go exactly as planned?
Not only that, but trying to stick with a schedule of talking about a state every time is also hard to juggle. Hey, Pete.
See, so the second state we were supposed to talk about was Alaska, and I
Oh,
copied it wrong. So that's kind of exciting.
A. It's an A state. I'm familiar with Alaska. That it exists. That's all.
So, yeah, I mean, it's a careful balance, Joe, because what I wanted to do was not just say I'm going to sit on Blab for 13 hours, right? Like, you do want to sort of have a guidance point of what you want to talk about. And
No, I completely agree with that, but I also think that just in terms of like keeping people in and keeping them rolling is the other part of the challenge.
yeah. So, well, yeah.
So we haven't changed topic yet?
I have not, because I was just looking at my.
Are you looking at what state to look for? Where's Alaska? North. Oh, and something that KZ just pointed out, she's like, I don't know what the nonprofits do, which I know is kind of hard to explain in that number of characters.
What'd she say?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I understand. Kathy was just saying that when you say nonprofits, I don't know what the term is referring to. It's just speaking as a person who's hearing words and determining what they mean. That's an interesting point. If you know what I'm saying. And I think you do. I gotta make some more coffee too.
How's that?
What's the new topic? Crowdsource raffle coming from. Wow. This is beautiful.
It's to the point, right?
Exactly. I want to do that. Yeah, let's hang out and do that. Yeah, you're right, Mary. Let's tell a little bird. Thank you. Who doesn't want to win fresh cookies in the morning? Just hearing about winning fresh cookies, I'm already excited.
Well,
I just like cookie. And also, I love that they're fresh.
yes, and that they're cookies. Alaska. So a lot of people are going to be curious about Alaska and Hawaii. So I do want to talk for a moment about my time in Alaska. I don't know if anybody else has. And yes, this of course is the famous Joe Wilson. We know
to a few people, very few.
First of all, Mayor and Pete, if you have any questions about Alaska, please throw them in the comments and help me guide what I'm talking about here. But, I went to Alaska near the middle of the trip. It was obviously my first time there. It was my personal 49th state, because I had never been to Alaska and Hawaii before. Not as crazy a place as I thought it would be. I mean, it was the middle of the summer and it was a little chilly. I mean, it's close to the water. So it wasn't like crazy cold. It wasn't like an igloo, like, oh my God, this is terrible. But it was like, I kind of want to wear a hoodie today.
But also, what time of year is Alaska where it's 24 hours of daylight?
When I was there, like,
oh, was it really?
Not
Seriously?
Not 24 hours.
June 21st.
But
it goes for weeks, right? Or a week.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't 24 hours of sunshine when I was there, but it certainly feels like it. When I went to Hard Rock Cafe in Anchorage, and they have shades on the windows because you're sitting there, and they bring them down when it's nighttime, because it'll literally drive you crazy if they don't do that. But everybody up there's so used to it. Mm-hmm. Then again, I was at Hard Rock Cafe. That's not exactly where the locals hang out, so. It's not like I was like with, all the Anchorage, fishermen and everything at the Hard Rock.
Right, right. Or characters from Northern Exposure at Hard Rock.
But it was tough because finding a hotel in Anchorage is very expensive. And so, I rented a car when I got there. It was very expensive. I mean, it was over $300 for 2 days, right? Like, it was, and so I did not want to pay for a hotel room, which would have been another $150 plus per night. And I was there for 2 nights. So I ended up sleeping in my car. And that was the first time I had ever slept in my car. And it wasn't even my car. It was the rental car in Alaska.
Right.
The first time I ever slept in my car, it wasn't my car. And so I get to Walmart, and there's tons of people that do this in Alaska. I mean, there were probably more cars set up there for people to sleep in Alaska than most of the other states that I visited. Maybe not North Dakota, but other than that, there were a lot. And I hadn't done this before, so I didn't think about the idea of like putting T-shirts in the windows, like to block out the, create privacy or whatever. And so I'm walking around. Walmart closes, I think, at 11, and I come back outside, and it's still light out, and I'm like, how am I supposed to go to sleep right now? Like, all I want to do is get some rest. I need to volunteer tomorrow, and I'm going to sleep in my car, so it's going to be uncomfortable and miserable anyway. I'm like balling up T-shirts behind my head because I didn't bring a pillow on the plane, right? And
Why would you?
Yeah, I didn't expect that hotels would be really cost prohibitive. And I'm like, man, this is terrible. Like, this is just torture. After midnight, still light out. I definitely have pictures of this. I'm going to find one for you here. But do you think
What time does the sun actually go down?
It must have been 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe. I mean, it was only down for a few hours.
For how long? Just a few hours.
Oh yeah. It was up bright and early again.
That is bizarre. So good night's sleep. And you get a little, hey, Roma, and you get a little tan, too.
I actually didn't sleep as bad as you might think. Like, it was actually okay. I had had a beer or two in the Hard Rock Cafe, which helped. By the way, I will tell you, if you're trying to sleep in your car, have a drink before you do it. It will help. It helps. It helps the emotional aspect of it too. When you're like, oh damn, I'm about to sleep in my car. If you have a little whiskey before you sleep in your car, not so bad, right?
Understandably so. Maybe little whiskey in the car while you're sleeping in it.
I'm trying to find you pictures from Alaska, which is tough to do.
So
all this while we're going.
are the people who are sleeping in their cars in the Walmart parking lot, is this a homeless situation?
I think yes, sometimes. One of the I know at least some of the people, like in the state of Maine, there were some homeless people, who were basically living out of their cars. But I think it's more travel. I think it's more like we're going from this place to this place, right, and we're going to keep going. I don't really know how that works so much in Alaska, especially when you're in Anchorage, because it's not like you'd go from let's take a road trip from Juneau to Kodiak or whatever. So I don't think there's a lot of that going on. But most of the people who sleep in their car are going to be in like a trailer, like what's it called, a Winnebago or something,
Camper. Oh, RV.
An RV, right? So
RV.
You pull up and you cozy up with. How the hell am I going to sit here for 13 hours and talk all day long? This is just insane.
Well, what you're going to do is you're going to change up the topic and not worry so much about hitting all the states and just talking about that. Because I don't know if you can do that for 13 hours. So we can change it up. Whatever happens, it can be like Wine Down Wednesday without the wine. Hey, Simon, it's a bunch of people hanging out.
I do have wine.
Yeah, it's still a little early. Because then it'll be like, hey, can Chris drink this early? Yes, he can.
Good morning, Jonathan. Welcome to everybody who's
Peter, business development marketing executive, speaker, cool dude. I want to have cool dude. I want to have cool dude in my bio. Do you have to have like that verified by someone?
Verified cool dude. So you guys in the comment section. First of all, I want to thank you guys for being here. I know the topic is now crowdsourced raffle, come win fresh cookies. So let's touch on that first. If you would like to enter the raffle, you can make a contribution to my Indiegogo campaign, which I will put the link in here again. And if you make a contribution of $10 or more today, you'll be entered for a chance to win fresh baked cookies from my dad, who is a Culinary Institute of America grad, so they will be fantastic. We've got a bunch of other prizes, including some T-shirts from me, a T-shirt from Joe Wilson, and a signed Vampire Mob poster, and of course a copy of Vampire Mob issue 1, which is really exciting. And yes, Mare donated and chose the perk of fresh baked cookies. They will be on their way to Mare very soon.
And Peter just made me the vice president of Cool Dudes of America, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Perfect.
That just happened. Hey, Brett, thanks for dropping by.
Whoa!
Hey, Brett.
Hold on a second. It forced my volume to go down. What the heck?
God TV radio show.
Okay, I got it up now. Yeah, God TV radio is one of my YouTube channels. How are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Just trying to work out the blab thing.
Are you trying to work out the camera thing?
No, what it does is if I go into a room, I don't know why, but it turns everything down.
Interesting. Well, do you have a video capabilities?
I do, but blab, because it's in beta, it makes me lag and freeze. But if you want to see what I look like, I'm on video on YouTube.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? Let's hope for YouTube video and watch.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to lag and freeze up.
Oh, understandably so.
Okay, great. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining in. So today we've got some really cool stuff going on. I am running a 13-hour raffle. So if you're interested in winning one of the awesome prizes, some of the very cool Joe Wilson memorabilia or some stuff from my trip, we've got fresh baked cookies from my dad. Joe, is a very exciting juncture right now because we are officially in the 15 minutes of California time. So
California?
This is Joe, have you ever been to California?
I have been to California. Lovely, lovely place.
Joe, why don't you take a minute and tell us what is great about California?
The weather. Pretty much it.
I think
the weather gets kind of shaky sometimes. That's fun.
So I think there's been more rain at my apartment over the last week than you've seen probably in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and that's
and I was reading something yesterday about how there's water. There's no water in California, so they're doing all these water restrictions on like your lawns and all that. So people who stop watering their lawns, everything dies. The ground gets hard, and then when it rains like crazy here, everything just runs off, and nothing gets. Hey, Joe Hart, and nothing gets absorbed. So yeah, California is. I think we'll be screwed in the water department for quite a while.
Yeah, it's funny. Last year I went to California and I was going to a baseball game. And, I'm from New York, right? So for me, going to Yankee Stadium, Shea Stadium, or whatever, the big question is always, you're gonna laugh the moment I say this, Joe. I'm like, all right, Matt, like, what if the game gets rained out? Like, do we have a contingency plan? And he just started cracking up. He's like, Chris, I don't think that's a concern. I mean, we're going to an Oakland A's game. We're going to an Oakland A's game, right? So I really don't think that a rain out is in the cards there in Oakland anytime soon. And it did not rain. It did not rain.
It's really. I think the reason everybody freaks out in the rain, I don't know who put it out. It wasn't Mashable. Maybe it was BuzzFeed. Put out a video of like Californians in the rain, and it's a bunch of people in an office. And once the news reports come out that it's raining, they're acting like it's the end of the world, and because that's what it seems like. And then you see last time it rained in LA, the traffic map was just nothing but red because no one knows how to drive in the rain. So it's an auto body shop's dream when it rains here.
That's funny. Yeah, it's kind of like that here in South Carolina when it snows. Like we got like an inch of snow last year, and like they closed the mall that I worked at, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, really?
Kathy was at the Super Bowl. What was that? 2 years ago, Kath? Oh, in Dallas. Yeah, it was longer than that. Whenever the Super Bowl was in Texas last, and it snowed. Like there was serious weather. Like there was snow falling off the stadium roof and killing. Like it was. No one knows how to drive. There's no salt. There's no plows, and all of a sudden, you're like, boom. Hey, Bolt.
Hello. Hey, Joe Hart. Can you jump in here and chat with us for a little bit? We'll be on the Double Joe show here. So again,
That'll get confusing.
We are.
So where did you end up in California when you were here?
A couple different places. Here we go. Now we can get the party started.
Joe Hart.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I've got tons going on here.
Do you? Is it racing?
Yeah.
Is it racing going on?
I can't hear you. Wait a minute.
There's tons going on, and I can't hear any of it.
Yay, Double Joe with my cup of Joe. Oh, my goodness.
Just
I wanted to go without my earplugs, but I don't think that's going to work.
okay. Do you want
Chris,
to?
I've got a meerkat session I'm going to do for you.
Oh, great. Cool. Perfect.
Yeah, so how you doing today?
I'm very good. I'm trying to stay energetic and optimistic that I can make it all the way through this thing. This should be fun. There's nothing I enjoy more than talking about, especially the organizations that I work with this summer, but just the idea of traveling, or honestly, hell, whatever people want to talk about. It doesn't matter. This is blab. And when it comes to live streaming, there's no such thing as a perfect stream. So I want to thank everybody who's jumping in. I see we're starting to gather a little crowd here. I think the cookies thing did it, J-Dub. So what I'm going to do is tell a little bird here, and if you guys want to tell a little bird, we can get some more folks in here.
Good idea.
And I'm just going to say hi to Elena, Justice for Gianna, Jonathan,
Jonathan,
Am I
yes.
saying that right? Walt, Joe Hart, you're here. Peter, somebody else just came in. Who just came in? Noah, Mayor, Ramon. I see you guys hanging out.
You see, Elena.
What's up,
Is an 82-year-old who loves to dance.
The cookies.
Oh, I saw that. Cook Italian food and make people laugh.
How cool is that?
Wow. What's Elena? What's your favorite thing to make? And can you make cookies? Yeah, you're here for the cookies. Where are the cookies?
Hey, Mayor, thank you.
And we've got Nor joining in now. So let's recap here quickly, Joe. First of all, welcome to everybody who has never seen me stream before. My name is ChrisStrub. This summer, I traveled around the United States and volunteered with youth organizations in all 50 states. I guess we lost Nor there. We tried, but Nor, if you want, come on back. Today, I'm hosting a 13-hour Blabathon where we're going to have a raffle tonight. So to enter that raffle, what I encourage you to do is go to to this link right here and make a contribution of $10 or more than $10 if you want. And you'll be entered in that raffle that will take place tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. So you'll have to come back and see if you win. But it's not just cookies. There's other cool stuff that you can win as well. These are the prizes we've got on the board right now, including a Team Strub 2015 t-shirt, a Team Strub 2014 shirt. We've got the Joe Wilson Triumvirate. Joe, why don't you tell us what you got there?
Yeah, there's a Vampire Mob issue 1, a graphic novel. I wrote a "We Were All Famous to a Few People" t-shirt exactly like this one, and a signed Vampire Mob poster from issue 1, which is the cover art by J.M. Renge, who has done work for Image Comics. If you follow the comic thing, you'll know that. And and if you go to the link, contribute anything, you'll get entered, and there will be multiple winners. I've got a feeling, including just cookies. Who doesn't want to win cookies? VIPs are the best.
That is cool, dude. So I Live for Her 2011 says, what are the proceeds going for? So this summer I traveled around the United States and volunteered with youth organizations in all 50 states. And I did this sort of out of my own pocket. These two guys can tell you how much work I put in. I have two witnesses here. Hey, Joe Hart, do you think how did you think things went this summer?
Well, I wish I saw much more of it. I probably saw 12 or 15 states. I wish I saw all 50 of them.
Yeah.
But it was phenomenal. I mean, it was cool to see you interacting with the nonprofits. They're all with, youth and younger children, younger people. And it was just really cool to see how each state, and I don't know if you can hear me and stuff, but it was cool to see how each state, had a different, every state's different. So, they had a different take on it and different priorities. And, it was neat to see how they interacted with Meerkat and Periscope, of course.
Yeah.
But no, it was just really cool to see how you, hooked up with each nonprofit organization, and they melded you into their schedule, and it was really cool. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And so to answer that question, what I'm doing is running a crowdfunding campaign, an Indiegogo campaign, really for two reasons. One, to help me cover the cost of traveling around the United States volunteering with youth organizations in all 50 states. And two, in an effort to try and continue that work, I started something called the 100 Calls Project, which is really more of an open call to any organization, any nonprofit organization around the United States that is looking for help with social media strategy or live streaming strategy or live streaming help. Whatever I can do to help any more nonprofits around the United States, I'm all for it. I've got my cell phone number on my LinkedIn profile. Of course, I got my email address up everywhere. I can put my email address in the comments again as well. So if you know of any nonprofits in your community or anywhere that could use help from a guy who has a lot of hands-on, firsthand experience working with all of these nonprofits, that is what I can share. That is what your contributions will go to, is allowing me that opportunity to help. And as many people saw this summer, I think I was able to help a lot of these organizations get the word out about what they were doing. And so, and I Live for Her says, I'm extremely interested to hear more of your work, possibly interview you. I'll be starting a 12-week weekly blab regarding areas of family law and CPS/DCFS. So there's the link in the blab right now. And what's going on, Jason? How are you? Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Nice to. I don't know that I've seen you. It's nice to meet you. I think. Have I seen you on Blab before?
No, I haven't seen you guys.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome. It's nice to meet you.
Welcome.
And Jason, I detect an accent. Are you from Texas?
Australia.
Oh, close. That was close.
Fucking close.
So close.
Very
What
cool.
time is it there? About 11 p.m.?
So it's 9:43 p.m.
PM. Oh, okay.
You guys.
Cool.
I live in South Carolina.
So what's the time for you guys?
It's for me. Yeah, for me it's 9:45 a.m.
Yeah.
I have 9:43, but a.m.
I have 6:43 in Los Angeles.
Joe, what are you doing awake? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Joe Hart. You know Joe Wilson was here when I started at 8:30 Eastern.
I think I heard that when I was waking up, and I was hearing your voice in my head. But I can't believe he was up that early. Way to go, Joe.
And no, I've never ever got on camera without having coffee.
Oh my God! Did you do it?
I did it. I don't.
Oh,
I
my
made
God.
sentences and Marissa's joke. I gotta get some more Death Wish coffee, and then that'll definitely be possible. Absolutely. But if you want to win one of my cool shirts, just follow the link and contribute, and I'll mail it wherever you are in the world. Clifton, Madison,
Clifton
Happy birthday,
Madison.
Clifton Madison today.
Come on in, Clifton. You can have my seat. We want to see
Actually-
Clifton.
I'm gonna pop out for a second and make more coffee, and then I'll pop right back.
All right, Joe, I'll be here.
All right.
I'm not going anywhere.
Don't go anywhere, Chris.
Don't go anywhere, Chris. What do you got?
It's raining outside. Where are you gonna go?
Yeah. All right, Joe, we'll see you in a little bit.
Cool.
So what's happening over in that side of the world?
Oh, well, I am in the middle of a hurricane right now. Here in South Carolina, it has not stopped raining. Other than Wednesday when I went and played golf because it was really nice out, it has not stopped raining here in South Carolina for like 9 days. Like it's just,
Oh wow.
it's crazy. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And when you say hurricane, because I've never been in a hurricane before. I've been in a cyclone. When you say hurricane, how strong are the winds?
It's not terribly windy out there right now. I mean, a hurricane would obviously greatly vary. We're talking probably 40, 50 mile an hour winds here overnight. I mean, it looks like it might be slowing down a little bit now. I can show you what it's like out there now. Let's take a
So
walk.
what's that in k's? That's
What's that?
what's that in kilometers?
Oh, I don't know.
How many miles per hour did you say, Chris?
40.
Probably 40.
40 kilometers. I think it's 0.6. I don't know. Let's see here. Probably about 670. I think.
70 k's of wind.
I think. My mind's not totally working, but I think so.
Wow.
Oops, sorry, I walked away there for a minute, Santos.
I've got a good photo there. That was good.
What, of me outside here?
Yeah.
There you go. So you see, it's just, I mean, again, I'm in an apartment complex that's sort of shuttered off. Like, it's not like I'm on the river or anything, but, you guys can see there.
You can still see the trees are moving.
Yeah, it's funny. We're talking about California during this segment. Oh, California segment is over. So what I'm doing yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So what I'm sort of trying to follow today, Joe Hart, and maybe this will sort of go off the rails sooner rather than later, is talking about all the different states today, sort of in order. Sort of loosely, obviously. Like, I'm not going to say like, all right, let's stop now and move on to the next thing. We're not following Robert's Rules of Order, but I do want to open up anybody in the comments on Meerkat or Blab. If you have any questions about the state of Colorado, we are technically in the Colorado segment here. So
Cool. I'm going to invite people in Meerkat
great,
over here.
great. Jason, what do you know about the state of Colorado?
I don't know. I've only been to Florida and LA for a couple of conferences. That's about it.
Very cool, very cool. What was your favorite part of America?
I've been to Disney World.
Okay, that's always good.
Yeah, we went there. Had the whole family there, went there, and had a bit of fun there. And then we went back to our hotel. No, it's nice. I do like it there. It's always good to get home, yeah, but it's always nice to go away for a while,
So you were in LA. So you were technically at Disneyland then, right? Because
Yes.
Disney World is in Florida. Disneyland is out in California.
Yes. We actually went to both because I got friends friends through business in Florida.
Oh, gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So, here's what I love about Colorado. Colorado, again, last year I visited Denver and I stayed in Denver for a few days. This year I went to, I was in the Boulder area and I volunteered with an organization called Casa de la Esperanza, which helps youths, Spanish-speaking youths, in a community, like in a little complex. So there's buildings all around, probably 12 different buildings. Not a huge program, but they do some amazing stuff, especially with their robotics program. They have a whole room that's sort of dedicated with Legos and stuff. So when you're young, you start out and you're like building all the Legos together. And then as the kids get older, they're building some amazing stuff there. They also teach kids how to cook. My volunteer experience at Casa de la Esperanza was cooking and preparing food, which was great. But it was a really fun experience. I was technically in Longmont, Colorado, and it was great. I was in the Longmont Citizen Time, or the Longmont Something Call, the newspaper. It was a lot of fun to get to work with a lot of these kids. And actually, Joe Hart, I don't know if you caught this stream or not from Colorado, and everybody's watching on Meerkat as well, but
I don't think I did, but
what I did in this was right after they. So I just mentioned a minute ago in South when I was in South Dakota, they introduced the cameo feature, right? So in Colorado was really the first time I really got.
Empire, Marshall Wallace.
I don't know if anybody.
And that's on Sunset Boulevard, I believe. And I showed a documentary on that. I also, when they had Walk of Fame ceremonies in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, I showed Mariah Carey. I showed that live. Obviously, I was in Boston, but I showed the live stream of that. Also, when I was in Hollywood, California last week, it happened to have been that Claire Danes, who was on Homeland. She had her Walk of Fame ceremony on the Thursday of that week. It was only about a half a mile where I was staying. I would have gone to it, but it's about 95 degrees outside, and that was actually the same day that I met Joe Wilson at Mel's Drive-In. So I had lunch there, had a burger with Mr. Joe Wilson. We had a little convo there. It was not broadcast or anything, but yeah. And